Tonight, tidy Kiwi come back, winning environmental video and #me. Kia ora and good evening. Welcome to Central News on TV Central for Tuesday the 14th of April. I'm Amanda Harper. In today's news, the tidy Kiwi has long been a symbol of New Zealand childhood. Created by Keep New Zealand Beautiful, the charitable organisation have decided to relaunch the Tidy Kiwi brand to inspire another generation of Kiwi kids.
This year in June, Tidy Kiwi is going to be launched, the new and improved Tidy Kiwi, and so that will be an opportunity to meet him and look at the resourcing that's coming out, educational resources with him, and the opportunity to name him.
Keep New Zealand Beautiful will launch the new and improved Tidy Kiwi brand in June this year, and there's an opportunity for you to get involved.
The Tidy Kiwi is making a comeback because we want the younger generation to know him and to follow his morals and his model behaviour of being a tidy Kiwi.
Central News will follow this story and bring you more updates. Clever use of puppets to deliver environmental action messages is what set Rebecca Richards' entry apart from others for the Inspire Youth Video Challenge Awards. 20-year-old Rebecca won first prize and secured a $2,000 project grant for the Powell Wildlife Trust to increase pest control efforts at Moturiki, which is Leisure Island. The marine studies student from Bay Polytechnic has been volunteering with native birds since 2008 and says she wanted to get into filmmaking and saw this as the perfect opportunity. The Inspire Challenge was a joint initiative by Tauranga City, Western Bay of Plenty and Bay of Plenty regional councils to find out what environmental change young locals most want to see and to encourage more people to get involved in caring for land, water and wildlife around the Western Bay of Plenty. Here is an excerpt from the winning entry. In our next story, 3 University of Waikato scientists have just returned from an intrepid journey of living on a riverboat in Vietnam, conducting research on currents in mangrove forests. Senior lecturer Dr. Julia Mulani, technical officer Dean Sandwell, and PhD student Benjamin Norris not only dealt with 20-metre-high mangrove forests, but snakes, wasps and a whole lot of mud. The team was studying currents around the roots of mango trees with the aim of determining how the obstacles affect waves and currents. Dr. Milani says the work they're doing has implications for sediment transport, which in turn controls the expansion or shrinking of the delta as a whole. For the 3 travellers, a typical day of research started at 4:30 a.m. and involved taking an inflatable boat loaded with equipment through the waves and into the mangrove forest at the seaward end of Kulau Dung Island. The team then deployed oceanographic instruments in a variety of configurations and completed photogrammetry surveying of the area. New Zealand Transport Agency has announced a high-tech electronic toll gantry that uses cameras to allocate tolls, and it's just been installed on Tauranga's Route K. The Transport Agency's Waikato Bay of Plenty Regional Director Harry Wilson says the new electronic toll point will use the latest optical character recognition technology to capture images of each vehicle's front and rear registration plates as people travel underneath. And now for our region's weather. Hamilton will be fine spells with a few afternoon showers, a southwesterly breeze, high of 18 and low of 2. Rest of the Waikato will be the same, Paeroa 19.6, Matamata 16.5, Te Awamutu 18.2 and Tokoroa 15.1. Over in the Bay of Plenty, Tauranga, it will be mainly fine with a few afternoon showers. Southwesterly breezes, high of 19 and low of 7. Te Puke, your high is 17 and overnight low of 6. And for the marine forecast, on the west coast Raglan, southwest easing Wednesday evening to 15 knots, tending Friday northwest. High tide is at 7:19 p.m. And on the east coast, Bay of Plenty is southwest 25 knots with rough sea, easing late Thursday to a westerly 15 knots. High tide is at 3:48. Coming up in the show, Keep New Zealand Beautiful. Welcome back to Central News. Keep New Zealand Beautiful is an iconic Kiwi organisation. Who can remember wanting to be a tidy Kiwi? I caught up with Joanne Powell about what they have been up to and what's coming up this year.
Oh, that was wonderful. That was in Alexandra in the South Island. They won, we had a nationwide competition where branches could put forward their registration for a mural idea to represent their town or a feature of it in a way that beautified the town or city. So Alexandra won, and this was the centre where the mural was painted. It was a three paintings of the history of Alexandra, and we had the launch of Paint New Zealand Beautiful there. The mayor was there, and it was a wonderful community event that that the mural will be able to, show pride for many, many years to come. Yes.
Now, I know that it also happened in Tokoroa a few years ago.
That's right. The Hands on Tokoroa is a mural that was painted by many members of the community, and it was it's a beautiful mural that still stands proudly, and it deters graffiti. When there's a mural in a public space, it creates an interest and art and deters from random tagging and graffiti. So it's a positive win-win for the environment.
Speaking of graffiti, you have a graffiti-free week as well.
That's right. We've just, from the 16th to the 22nd of March this year, it was our second graffiti-free week. It was a successful event with about 20 different projects happening around the country, and different community events, schools, businesses and groups got involved to paint out areas of graffiti. There was a big area in Rotorua that got painted out by the local Girls Brigade, got everyone on board, and we are fortunate to have sponsors that provide the paint, and we also provide adopt-a-spot kits. So there's the brushes, the rags, everything in there to get the project and an event happening. We provide the guide, the safety tips, and also the linking to the councils so that approval can be met and projects can go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is to clean up graffiti, you provide the resources?
Absolutely, yes. So, so all that is needed is the manpower, everything else is provided.
Okay. That's really good. Now we've got Keep New Zealand Beautiful Week coming up as well.
Absolutely, that's in September, and it's a week-long event where again schools, community groups and businesses can register to clean up their patch. We provide the resourcing, all the recycled bags, the rubbish bags, gloves. We've also got the event guide, links to councils, and for school groups, we provide badges and stickers to make it fun. And last year it was a record-breaking nationwide initiative with over 560 registered events. So even if you get a small group together, you are actually part of something much, much bigger in the scheme of keeping New Zealand beautiful. So it's again in September this year. We're hoping to increase it even further and get lots more Kiwis on board.
Yeah. And what kind of cleanups can people do?
People can clean up wherever they like. A lot of schools did the parks in their local area where the children get a lot of benefit from, but see what happens if there's rubbish, so they're taking pride in it. We also had a lot of beach cleanups, and some businesses were doing highway cleanups. So reaching far and wide, mostly people doing their patch.
I want our country to have fresh air and clean beaches.
And the rivers, lakes and streams are free of rubbish.
Where there is no litter in the streets. And people are proud of their home.
Aotearoa, play your part.
And together, let's keep New Zealand beautiful.
Thanks, Joanne. In our next story, #Me are a Hamilton-based online media outlet. Reporter Rachel Sutton chats to the founder of #Me.
#Me is an online platform and media outlet. We've got a podcast network, we've got an online TV show, and our website #me.co.nz, which covers news, reviews and opinions on social media, web tech and gaming.
So who is behind #Me and what are your different roles?
There's actually a whole team of us. So we've got Angus down in Timaru. Yeah, he does, what's it called?
Bits of Awesome.
Bits of Awesome with Phid here. We've got Raj and Mike who do Access Granted. And then we've got, of course, Maddie, Bid McAwesome and myself here in Hamilton.
So how did #Me all come about?
Cigarette. It was over a cigarette.
It started at Maddie's place one day. We were having a chat. And
No, you weren't. You're having a cigarette.
we were having a chat, and he had mentioned that he'd always wanted to get into radio, and I actually said, well, radio used to be my thing. And I was basically looking for an excuse to get back into radio. And so we actually went and had a meeting with the guys at Free FM and started #radio a week later. It was crazy how fast that happened. And 3 years later, that one radio show on Free FM has grown to be a podcast network with 5 shows across the entire country that come out once a month or once a week or once a fortnight. #TV, which we had a really good run with our first series of #TV. And yeah, and the website, it's just growing so fast and so rapidly. It's been, and all out of one small show.
Can you tell me about how the podcasts work?
Well, the podcasting was a natural progression from doing the radio show. Free FM started with podcasting #radio, and we always treated #radio as more of a podcast anyway. It was structured more as a podcast for radio. And so Free FM started podcasting it, and we just really wanted to expand that experience from being a social media show into, we can cover more things that generally geeks are interested in.
In other words, we just wanted to talk about what we wanted to talk about.
So what is involved with putting together a weekly radio show?
A lot of stress.
Yeah, lots of research, opinions. I mean, all of us are really interested in what we talk about, so we're all tech nerds, we're all social media addicts.
Like
gamers.
Maddie likes doing gaming. That's his thing.
Yeah.
So he plays games all week.
Yeah, that's his research.
Yeah.
No,
He likes breaking things and playing with gadgets.
it's an awesome excuse to be able to play with these toys and play around online and try out all these new things and get work out of it as well.
You also run #TV. What is it all about?
Well, last year's series was a magazine style, and it was covering pretty much exactly what we talk about on the show. This year, though, after talking to YouTube, we decided we'd change our format and go for something probably a little bit more specific. So on our radio show, we consider ourselves the uncultured roundup of all things. Now we're just going to be the uncultured roundup of this one thing.
Yeah, so instead of it being one show covering everything, we're going to be more bite-sized, small, short-form videos. So there'll be an entire segment which will just be gaming, an entire one just tech, and that's sort of where we're looking at going with it.
To keep up to date with #Radio TV and for more information or the TV launch, go online to #me.co.nz. Stay with us after the break, why now is the time to travel to Australia. Welcome back to Central News. Expedia.co.nz reports Kiwis are taking advantage of the impressive strength of the Kiwi dollar against the Australian dollar, with significant year-on-year increases in interest for key Australian holiday destinations. Travel consultant Judy Harkness tells us why now is the time to travel to Australia.
As you're aware, the Kiwi dollar is equal with the Australian dollar, or more or less, so it couldn't be a better time to travel to Australia. There's a huge push on Australia at the moment. There's a lot of advertising out there, there's a lot of ideas, things people haven't thought of to do there. Amazingly, a lot of Kiwis do fly far away when they could just go to, not just go to Australia, but they could go to Australia, and now it would be costing the same as if they went somewhere in New Zealand. So apart from the airfare, which can be very cheap these days, everything would be on a par. So not a better time to travel than now, really.
There's a lot of benefits to
a lot of
Kiwi
benefits, yeah. So, everything you can budget very easily because you know that you're going to be paying the same as the New Zealand dollar. Mm-hmm. So it certainly is perfect time to go.
And where would you recommend taking the family?
Well, there's lots of choices for families. The obvious choice is the Gold Coast, of course, with the theme parks and lots to do there, and that is a very popular choice. But there's lots of other spots as well. I mean, what could be nicer than a trip to Sydney? I love Sydney, or Melbourne, one of the cities, or even, perhaps the Outback. I mean, there's lots of things to do. And of course, the Sunshine Coast is another one. Tropical North Queensland, Cairns is always a popular spot because you can get out to the reef, and there's so many different, such a big country and so many different places that you can go. But Gold Coast is probably the number one for families, really.
Yeah. Whereabouts have you travelled in Australia? You mentioned Sydney.
Yes, I've been to Sydney many times. All of the cities. Perth that's another one I forgot out that way, is lovely as well. I have done the Garn through part of Australia, from Adelaide to Alice Springs to Adelaide, I should say, and I've been into that Barossa Valley, into Adelaide and all around that area. There's some fabulous areas out around there.
Yeah. Now, with the Sunshine Coast, what experiences do you absolutely recommend people to do?
Well, the Sunshine Coast has the underwater world right there. They have great beaches. They've got the hinterland out into the bush country sort of thing. I would always recommend that you have a car if you're going to be in that area. There's lots of day trips you can do. If you're based in Mooloolaba, for example, you can drive up to Noosa and have a look around that area. But there's lots and lots to do, and lovely beaches along the way. More like New Zealand beaches, of course, yeah.
And do you have any travelling tips?
Travelling tips. I think if you're travelling with children, always probably try to have their iPad or their, what keeps them amused on an aeroplane, of course. What I always would take with me would be my e-reader and things like that. And don't forget your chargers, and don't forget all those sort of necessary things, because it's really annoying if you have to get there and have to buy something like that. So yeah, those are probably my tips for that.
But at least with Australia, the kind of charges would be the same.
Yes, exactly. It's just annoying if you have to go out and buy one when you do. So just have a little checklist, really, of all the things that you use on a daily basis, and make sure you don't forget them.
Well, you heard her. Now is the time to get over for that Australian breakaway. Blood only lasts for 35 days, and that's why it is important to have monthly donations. Rachel chats to Angela Durham, a registered nurse at New Zealand Blood Service in Tauranga, to find out about the different ways you can donate and how the process all works.
So giving blood is a really simple process. You just come along to our donor rooms here, register with our nurse, you fill in an easy questionnaire, pop through, have a quick interview, and then we pop the needle in your arm. That process itself takes most people an average of 4 to 8 minutes. And then after you've donated blood, we just ask that you stay with us for another 5 or 10 minutes, have a nice cup of tea and a chocky bicky.
What criteria do we need to meet to give blood?
So there is a criteria, the very detailed criteria on our website, which is nzblood.co.nz. But if you've had any recent tattoos or piercings, you will need to wait. If you're unwell at the time, probably best not to come in, but people can always ring us here in our rooms and check with us whether or not they're eligible.
What is the biggest use for the blood once it's donated?
So our single biggest user group is patients with cancer. So that's where the majority of our blood product goes. We do also give blood to maternity patients, to children, accident victims, surgery. So there's a wide range of user groups for blood products.
Once the blood gets collected, what is the process from there?
Well, we have 2 couriers here in Tauranga that take the blood across to Hamilton once we've collected it. So our appointments are scheduled around those so that we can get it over and get it processed in time so that it can be put to its best use.
And how many donors do you need on a monthly basis?
Our numbers change every month depending on usage, but on average we need about 500 people a month. So blood only lasts for 35 days, so it has a very short life. So that's why we encourage people to make appointments so we can make sure we're putting their blood to best use.
And how many different branches do you have across the region?
There are 9 branches across New Zealand, and those are fixed sites. We do also offer our mobile collection service, so they'll pop in maybe to your local community hall and you can donate blood there. And again, there's always a nice list on our website of upcoming mobiles.
How do we go about making an appointment to give blood?
So there's 2 ways you can, well there's more than 2 ways, there's several ways you can do that. You can do it yourself online, you can ring our 0800 give blood number, or you can pop in here and visit us and book an appointment at the same time.
If we have businesses wanting to give blood, can we accommodate them?
We really like our business groups. We have a coordinator here or a recruitment officer, and she is more than happy to talk to businesses. She'll pick them up, bring them in to visit us, and we'll take their blood and take them back to work afterwards.
Can you tell us what's involved in the program called Partners for Life?
Our Partners for Life program is a reasonably new initiative, and it's one we're finding really successful. It's a great way for businesses and organisations to give back to their community. So they come along as a work group or an organisation and they all donate together, and then we take them back to work again afterwards.
How does donating bone marrow work?
Bone marrow is something very specific, so people don't donate bone marrow with us. What they do is they come along and we pop them on the bone marrow register. We actually at this stage are only taking males aged between 18 and 40 years of age, and they do have to be of an ethnic minority, so Māori or Pacific Island generally.
And what support do you have from other organisations?
Here in Tauranga we have 3 groups that are fabulous to us. We have Paula Williamson from Todgower Funeral Services, Malcolm George from Alfresco Cafe, and Blomquist Bakery, all of which provide our donors with delicious treats for after their donation.
New Zealand Blood Service are always on the lookout for new donors. To learn more or to make an appointment to donate, head to newzealandblood.co.nz today. You could help save a life. Thank you for watching Central News tonight. We do post everything online on our website, tvcentral.co.nz, and we also like to keep in touch with our viewers on Facebook, so don't forget to like our page. If you think you might have a story for us, email news@tvcentral.co.nz. We would love to hear from you. I will be back on screens again tomorrow night with more stories from the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. My name is Amanda Harper. Have a good night. Pō Marie.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.